In the vast forests and plains of Eastern Europe, long after the fall of Rome and before the cross took root, the gods of the Slavs reigned supreme. Their names were carved into wood, spoken in rituals, and passed from mouth to mouth. Thunder, fire, earth and fate, these were the forces they ruled. If you too rule the forces, check out Pantheon Apparel, our clothing brand inspired by myths, legends and folklore. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. Link in the description. In the beginning there was only darkness and chaos. This primordial state enveloped a golden egg floating in the void. Inside this egg rested Rod, the forefather of all Slavic gods. In a deep slumber, as Rod slept, he felt a stirring within him, a desire to awaken and create the world. When the forces of imbalance roused him, Rod felt a surge of warmth followed by a chilling cold. He realized that to create a harmonious world, he must divide the consciousness within him into opposites. From this duality, he brought forth the concepts of light and darkness, and thus day and night were born, establishing the rhythm of existence. To aid him in his creation, Rod called forth Lada, the goddess of love. Together they represented the balances of forces necessary to maintain harmony in the universe. With Lada at his side, Rod gave life to their 6 sons and 3 daughters, each embodying the aspects of the natural world, such as the sun, the moon, water and earth. In the midst of creation, Rod noticed the vast oceans and began to search for Mother Earth. He encountered a grey-feathered duck floating on the water and asked her where Mother Earth lay. The duck dove deep into the ocean but returned empty-beaked after a year. She attempted again only to surface after 2 years, still without success. Frustrated, Rod struck the duck with lightning, granting her the strength to dive once more. This time, after 3 years, she emerged with a beak full of earth. Rod took the earth and shaped it into land, creating the features of the world we know today. He crushed the earth in his palms, mixed it with love, and spread it across the oceans, giving rise to the land that would support life. But the world needed balance. Rod created a great serpent to hold the earth above the waters, ensuring that it would never sink again. As Rod looked upon his creation, he was pleased. He had established the forces of nature, a balance of life and death, and a world filled with potential. Perun is the thunder god and supreme deity associated with lightning, storms, war, and oak trees. He was worshipped across much of the Slavic world, from the Eastern Slavs of Kievan Rus to the Western Slavs of Poland and the Balkans. Perun was seen as the protector of warriors and rulers, and his name is often linked to the verb perti, meaning to strike, a clear nod to his role as a sky-bound force of power and aggression. He was believed to hurl lightning bolts from the heavens, often in the form of stones or fiery arrows, and his sacred weapon was the axe or hammer, echoing motifs seen in Indo-European thunder gods like Thor or Indra. His symbols included the eagle, the oak tree, and the wheel, all connected to the sky and divine force. Temples and sacred groves dedicated to Perun were usually built on high ground or near old oak trees, where the offering and sacrifices were made to earn his favour in battle or protection from storms. Perun stands in direct opposition to Veles, the god of the underworld and chaos. Their rivalry plays out across the changing seasons, with Perun striking down Veles each year in the form of lightning, an act that reaffirms an order that re-establishes the balance between the heavens and the earth. Even after Christianization, traces of Perun's worship persisted in folk tales and rural beliefs, with Saint Elijah often taking over his thunderous role in the Christian Pantheon. Veles is a god of earth, water, the underworld, cattle, and sorcery. He is one of the most complex figures in Slavic belief, associated with wealth, music trade, and the mysteries hidden below the surface of the world. Where other gods represent force or purity, Veles is slippery, a shapeshifter, a trickster, and a guardian of the untamed. His domain was the lowlands, rivers, marshes, roots, and caves. As the patron of herdsmen and poets alike, Veles was invoked for prosperity, inspiration, and cunning. Merchants swore oaths in his name, and breaking them was said to invite disease or ruin. He had a strong connection to livestock, and the health of cattle, a vital measure of wealth, was thought to lie within his power. He was often imagined as a serpent or dragon, a form that hints at his chthonic nature and his tendency to transgress boundaries. While he's remembered today mostly for his opposition to Perun, Veles was not merely an antagonist. He was balance itself, the earth to Perun's sky, the wet to his dry, the hidden to his visible. Where Perun strikes, Veles endures. Where Perun commands, Veles negotiates. He is the god of everything that slips through the cracks. Svarog is the god of fire, smithing, and the celestial order. He is one of the most ancient and revered figures in Slavic belief, often seen as a craftsman who brought structure to the universe. His name is linked to words meaning heat and forge, and his role reflects the vital connection between fire and civilization in shaping of tools, weapons, and even the heavens themselves. Svarog is credited with forging the sun and setting it in motion, an act that placed him at the center of creation. In some beliefs, he is the father of Dazhbog, the sun god, which further cements his place as the progenitor and organizer. He represents controlled, purposeful flame, the kind that builds rather than destroys. Unlike gods of war or chaos, Svarog's presence is silent and methodical. He is the blacksmith behind the order of things, and though few myths survive that center on him directly, his influence is felt in every structure, tool and law that holds the world together. Temples dedicated to him were rare, but fire itself, sacred in his honor. Dazhbog is a solar god and bringer of fortune, closely tied to wealth, prosperity, and the daily cycle of the sun. As the blazing force that crosses the sky, he was believed to nourish the earth, mark the passage of time, and watch over the world with an ever-present gaze. More than just a sun deity, Dazhbog was considered a giver, his name possibly meaning God who gives, or giving god. To some, Dazhbog was viewed as the ancestor of the Slavic people, a cultural patriarch from whom tribes claimed to descend. This role elevated him from beyond nature god into symbol of sacred lineage and favor. His presence was associated with kingship, justice, and the orderly turning of the seasons. While few detailed myths survive, traces of his influence remain in folklore that praises the sun as a generous, life-sustaining force, one that must be honored, feared, and never taken for granted. Mokosh is the goddess of fertility, women's work, and the earth. She presides over spinning, weaving, and shearing, all tasks central to daily life. Offerings were given to her for safe childbirth, plentiful harvests, and protection of the household, which made her one of the most actively honored deities in the Slavic Pantheon. She was also connected to soil and moisture, reflecting her role in sustaining crops and ensuring abundance in the fields. This link to both domestic and agriculture placed Mokosh at the heart of survival, bridging the world of the home with the broader forces of nature. In her, labor and fertility converged, shaping her as a guardian and provider. Even after Christianization, Mokosh's presence was strong. Her attributes were absorbed into the worship of the Virgin Mary and local female saints, allowing her influence to persist beneath the surface of new traditions. Rural communities continued to honor her through seasonal customs and practices, showing just how deeply she was woven into the lives of the people. Stribog is the god of winds, sky, and air. He was believed to command the breezes, gales, and storms that swept across the land, shaping the weather and the fortunes of those who lived beneath it. Farmers, sailors, and travelers all depend on him, as a change in the wind could mean the difference between prosperity and disaster. His children were thought to be the winds themselves, each carrying their own qualities, gentle, destructive, or unpredictable. In this way, Stribog was both a provider and a threat, capable of bringing fertile rains or devastating storms. He was the unseen but ever-felt forces of the atmosphere, the invisible currents that dictated so much of human survival. Though less central than Perun or Veles, Stribog's influence was seen in everyday life. Songs and prayers were directed to him when the winds turned harsh, and his name lived on in folklore, tied to the changing seasons. Rod is regarded as a primordial figure, the birth giver and creator of life. His name is tied to concepts of family, kinship, and ancestry, and he was thought to be present at the very beginning of existence. Some placed him as the one who shaped the world and gave order to all that would follow, making him one of the oldest and most mysterious gods in the Pantheon. Rod's believed to work alongside the Rozhanitsy, female spirits that determined the course of a child's life at birth. Through this connection, Rod's role was not just as a distant creator, but as a force that continued to guide the threads of human lives. Rod wasn't tied to a specific weapon, animal, or natural force. Instead, he was an abstract, foundational presence, embodying origin and continuity. While later sources sometimes downplay his importance, Rod stands as a reminder of the deep ancestral roots that shaped Slavic spiritual life, a god whose influence stretched from the beginning of the cosmos into the most intimate moments of human existence. Svetovid is a multi-headed god of war, abundance and prophecy. Each of his faces looked in a different direction, allowing him to see all that happened across the world. He was especially honoured among Polabian Slavs, most famous for the temple at Cape Arkona on the island of Rugen. There, a great wooden idol of Svetovid stood with a horn filled with mead, which priests used for divination to foretell the prosperity of the coming year. He was also known for fertility and harvest. Rituals to Svetovid included sacrifices of white horses, whose movements were studied as omens before campaigns or major decisions. Warriors sought his blessing before battle, while farmers turned to him for abundance in their fields. This dual role made him a figure of strength and sustenance. Svetovid's name is often linked to the Slavic roots Svet, light or world, and Vid, sight, marking him as an all-seeing presence. To his worshippers, he was a god who oversaw conflict and growth, capable of guiding their destiny through vision and foresight. His cult remained powerful until the Christianization of the region, when his great temple was destroyed. Triglav is another multi-headed god. However, he is connected to the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. Each of his faces was believed to oversee one of these realms. He was worshipped most prominently in the city of Szczecin and other parts of Western Slavic territory, where temples and idols were raised in his honor. His cult is described in medieval chronicles, which mention priests covering the idol's 3 heads with a golden band or veil, said to protect human eyes from the overwhelming power of his gaze. This gesture suggests a being whose vision was vast and dangerous to behold. Triglav's influence was significant among those who worshipped him. Horses played a significant role in his divination rituals, much like in the cult of Svetovid, reinforcing his connection to faith and prophecy. Radegast is the god of hospitality, fertility, and war. He was especially important to the Western Slavs, with his main center of worship at Rethra, a grand temple complex described in medieval chronicles. There, idols of him were said to stand adorned with precious metals, and rituals in his honor involved feasting, offerings, and ceremonies meant to ensure prosperity and strength in battle. As a patron of hospitality, Radegast represented the duty of caring for guests while also serving as a guardian of the community. His role extended into fertility, linking him to the health of crops and livestock, both vital for sustaining life in times of peace and conflict. Though few myths survive, his cult was strong enough to be noted by Christian chroniclers, who portrayed him as a central figure in Slavic religious life. His character reflects the values of his worshippers, generosity within the tribe and steadfast defense against those beyond it. Ors is a lesser-known Slavic god linked to the sun, the passing of seasons, and survival through the harshness of winter. His name may derive from Iranian, hinting at a cultural exchange between the Slavs and neighbouring peoples, and some sources describe him as a radiant figure who travelled in the sky. In the primary chronicle, Ors is mentioned alongside Dazhbog, suggesting a connection to solar cycles and the life-giving power of light. While Dazhbog is often seen as the bright, giving sun of summer, Ors is more closely tied to the weaker sun of winter. This association cast him as a god of endurance and healing, helping people withstand illness and scarcity when days grew short. Simargl is a mysterious and debated figure in Slavic mythology, described as a winged creature or sometimes imagined as a dog or wolf bound by chains. Scholars have long debated his origins, with some suggesting he was connected to fire and agriculture, while others link him to Persian influences. In some tales, Simargl is tied to seeds, sprouts, and the growth of crops, making him a guardian of fertility and agriculture. His chained form symbolizes restraint and balance, as though his wild energy had to be contained to protect the world from destruction. This imagery makes him stand apart from the more straightforward thunder or sun gods. Although little direct evidence of his worship survives, Simargl's presence in early sources places him firmly within the Slavic Pantheon. His unusual traits, a chained winged beast rather than a human-like figure, hint at the diversity of the gods and influence of the neighbouring cultures on Slavic religion. Zorya is a goddess associated with the stars, often appearing as a pair or trio of sisters who guard the sky and protect the world from danger. The best-known tradition speaks of the morning star and evening star, while some sources add a third, the midnight star. Each opens and closes the gates of the heavens for the sun, marking the passage of time and maintaining the order of the cosmos. Their most important duty was to stand and watch over the great hound chained to the night sky. If this hound were to ever break free, it would devour the stars and bring about the end of the world. The Zorya's vigilance kept this threat contained, ensuring that the order of the universe was preserved. Beyond this, the Zorya were also seen as protectors of warriors, guiding them in battle and granting either victory or safe passage home. To ordinary people, they represented the daily pattern of sunrise and sunset, a reminder that the cycle of night and day continued only because the sisters never ceased their watch. Morana, also known as Marzana, Mara, or Morina, is the goddess of winter, death, and the end of harvest. She personifies the harshness of the cold season, when crops fail, days grow short, and survival becomes uncertain. As such, she was both feared and ritually driven away each year to mark the coming of spring. One of the most enduring traditions linked to her is the drowning or burning of her effigy and the end of winter. Villagers would craft a straw figure of Morana, dress it in women's clothing, and then destroy it, symbolizing the banishment of death and the welcoming of new life. This ritual, preserved well into Christian times, shows how deeply her image was tied to the turning of the seasons. While she ruled over decay and endings, Morana's role was also cyclical. Her death each year allowed renewal to follow. Yarilo is a god of spring, fertility, and vegetation whose myths centre on themes of growth, passion, and renewal. He's tied to the return of life after the death of winter, making him a seasonal figure whose presence was eagerly awaited each year. Celebrations in his honour often featured songs, dancing, and processions through fields, reflecting his role as a bringer of vitality to both people and crops. Yarilo is born in spring, full of youthful energy and desire, but by the end of the harvest, he dies, only to return again the following year. This mirrors the agricultural cycle itself, the sprouting of grain, its flourishing, and its inevitable cutting down. In this way, Yarilo became a symbol of the fragile, fleeting nature of life and love. Yarilo was also associated with sexuality and untamed desire, qualities that made him a joyous and dangerous figure. His worship carried an edge of wildness, with festivals sometimes linked to unrestrained behaviour and the overturning of social norms. Svarozhich is a god of fire, often regarded as the son of Svarog and sometimes equated with Radegast in Western Slavic beliefs. His name is directly tied to flame and burning, and he represents fire in its most immediate and practical forms: the hearth that sustained families, the blaze that cleared land, and the forge that shaped tools and weapons. Temples dedicated to Svarozhich kept an eternal flame burning in his honour, tended carefully by priests who ensured it never went out. This fire was sacred but also symbolic of continuity, strength, and the well-being of the community. His presence was felt in every controlled flame, distinguishing him from the more cosmic associations of his father, Svarog. In some accounts, Svarozhich was also connected to war, reflecting fire's destructive potential as much as its life-sustaining qualities. Chernabog and Belobog are two names often associated with Slavic mythology, though their place in the Pantheon is uncertain. Chernabog, whose name means black god, appears briefly in a 12th century chronicle where he's described as a bringer of misfortune and ill fate. This has led to the idea of a dark, malevolent figure tied to chaos and ruin. Belobog, also called the White God, is usually presented as Chernabog's opposite, a force of light and good fortune. Yet, unlike Chernabog, Belobog never appears in early sources. Most scholars believe he was invented later, likely by folklorists or romantic writers who wanted to frame Slavic belief as a simple struggle between light and darkness. Today, both names are well known in popular culture, but they are seen as later creations rather than central figures of Slavic worship. Chernabog may have roots in old ritual language, while Belobog is almost certainly a later invention. Together they're an example of how folklore, reinterpretation and imagination continue to shape how these ancient gods are remembered. The Slavic gods were rulers in storm and soil, fire and frost, fate and fortune. Their temples may be gone and their names almost forgotten, but they still linger in the land, in the stories, and in the rituals that never truly died. The Alkonost is a mythical creature depicted with the body of a bird and the head of a beautiful woman, known for its extraordinarily melodious and mesmerizing voice that can bring immense joy or deep sorrow. Her song is believed to have prophetic powers, often signaling forthcoming changes or imparting a state of blissful oblivion. This creature is associated with the paradisiacal realms and symbolizes the dual nature of existence, embodying both the fleeting nature of happiness and the eternal hope that underpins human resilience. Traditionally, the Alkonost lays its eggs on the seashore, and these eggs are said to calm the sea until they hatch, bringing tranquility and renewal. In folklore, the Alkonost is often portrayed as a benign entity whose presence heralds good omens and peace, contrasting with the more malevolent Sirin, another bird-woman creature from Slavic lore. Azhdaya is a formidable creature in Slavic mythology, often described as a demonic version of the dragon Zmai. Unlike other dragons, it is believed to have an odd number of heads, commonly 3, 5, or 7. This creature is noted for its malevolence and is associated with destructive powers such as spitting fire and causing earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. Originating from ancient Slavic lore, Azhdaya is thought to live in dark subterranean places and has a significant role in myths symbolizing chaos and danger. Its depiction as a serpent or dragon that consumes others of its kind to gain formidable size and power highlights its menacing nature. In Serbian folklore, there are stories where St. George is believed to have slain an Azhdaya instead of a regular dragon, underscoring its significance in local mythology. The creature's fearsome reputation is so profound that its imagery was adopted by Christianity to represent evil, much like the devil in Western lore. Baba Yaga is a witch or ogress who dwells in a forest hut perched on chicken legs. She embodies a blend of dark and sometimes benevolent traits, making her one of the most enigmatic figures in mythology. Traditionally, Baba Yaga is portrayed as having formidable powers, including the ability to fly in a mortar, steering with a pestle, and using a broom to sweep away her tracks behind her. Her hut is encircled by a fence made of human bones, reinforcing her fearsome reputation. In many tales, Baba Yaga appears as a figure who challenges protagonists with difficult tasks, which can either lead to their demise or aid in their transformation and growth. This dual nature suggests she may serve as a guardian of the fountains of the waters of life and death, symbolizing the cycle of nature and life. Despite her terrifying demeanor, she occasionally offers crucial help to heroes and heroines, guiding them with her wisdom and magical items. Baba Yaga's portrayal varies significantly across different stories. In some, she is a solitary figure who interacts with visitors to her hut, either helping them or hindering them based on their actions or her whims. Her motivations can seem capricious, but they often serve to test the moral character of the visitors. In other narratives, Baba Yaga appears as one of 3 sisters, all sharing the same name, each owning a chicken-legged hut and possessing similar traits. Babai is a night spirit or bogeyman often invoked to ensure children behave and sleep throughout the night. This mythical figure is portrayed as a dark, sometimes crooked old man who may appear with physical defects like muteness or lameness. Traditionally, Babai is said to abduct children who misbehave or fail to go to sleep at night. He's often depicted with a bag or cane and is believed to reside in locations such as forests, swamps, or gardens. At night, Babai is said to approach children's windows to watch them, adding a sinister aspect to his role in folklore. This entity is referred to by various names across different Slavic languages, including Babaika in Russian and Babaiko in Ukrainian. Baba Roga is a fearsome figure in southern Slavic folklore, depicted as an old witch or hag with a horn on her forehead, which differentiates her from her Eastern Slavic counterpart, Baba Yaga. Baba Roga is known for her terrifying appearance, with haggard features, long, unkempt hair, and an iron-like nose. She's primarily featured in myths and stories from regions like Serbia, Croatia, and Bosnia. Often portrayed as an antagonist in folklore, she uses her supernatural powers to hinder heroes on their quests and is known for kidnapping disobedient children, a common theme in Slavic myths intended to instill fear and encourage good behavior among the young. Despite her frightening nature, some stories depict her as a protective figure, visiting children at night to ensure that they have pleasant dreams and scaring them back to sleep if they wake up. While similar to Baba Yaga, Baba Roga differs in her bulkier build and the horn on her forehead. She also resides in a dark cave, unlike Baba Yaga's chicken-legged hut. In some tales, Baba Roga owns a powerful horse and commands various animals, which help her in her tasks. Balachko is a three-headed giant known for his terrifying presence and immense power. Each of his three heads possesses distinct abilities. One breathes fire, another emits freezing cold winds, and the third head often symbolizes brute strength. These powers, however, have a limitation. They can only be used for a short period, after which Balachko becomes vulnerable. This temporary weakness becomes the key to defeating him, as seen in various tales where clever heroes exploit this limitation. One of the most famous stories involving Balachko is found in the Serbian epic Tsar Dušan's Wedding, where he serves under King Mihailo. In this tale, Balachko attempts to kidnap Princess Roxanda, only to be defeated by the hero Miloš Vojinović. Bauk is a menacing figure known as a carnivorous animal-like monster that lurks in dark abandoned places such as caves, barns and deserted houses. Its primary role in mythology is as a boogeyman, used to frighten children and keep them away from dangerous, shadowy areas. The Bauk is described as a stealthy stalker with glowing eyes, capable of snatching and devouring anyone who ventures too close to its hiding spots. Despite its terrifying nature, the Bauk is easily frightened by loud noises and bright light, which can drive it away. This dual nature as both fearsome predator and creature with significant vulnerabilities make it a compelling figure in folklore of the region. The Bauk's origins are tied to the southern Slavs, with its name deriving from Serbian onomatopoeia bau, similar to the English boo, used to scare someone. Some interpretations suggest that the legend of the Bauk may be inspired by real animals such as bears that once roamed Serbia but have since become extinct. Beda, sometimes known as Beda in Polish folklore, is a malevolent demon closely associated with poverty, misfortune and tragedy. In Slavic mythology, Beda is often depicted as a thin, skeletal old woman with a terrifying appearance. Her long, stringy hair and hollow black eyes make her a haunting figure. She's believed to wander the world, bringing calamities and suffering to the homes she visits. The presence of Beda is said to bring a cascade of disasters, including fires, the death of livestock, and the loss of crops. Her influence is so pervasive that she is considered almost impossible to remove once she is settled in a household. According to folklore, Beda could transform into small animals or inanimate objects like a log, making it difficult for people to identify or expel her. Interestingly, the word Beda in Polish translates to poverty, reflecting the demon's role in spreading hardship and despair. Legends say that Beda is an immortal being, making her very hard to defeat, and the only way to rid oneself of her curse is to trick her into moving into another person's home. Bes, also known as Bais, is a demon associated with chaos and evil. This malevolent spirit was believed to cause distress, possess individuals, and drive them to madness. Over time, as Christianity spread, Bes became more closely linked with the concept of the devil, transforming from a general spirit of misfortune into a symbol of malevolent power. These demons were thought to inhabit remote places like forests and mountains, lurking in the shadows to wreak havoc on those who ventured too close. The image of Bes evolved significantly under Christian influence, where many of these ancient spirits were reinterpreted as devils or agents of evil. Besamar is a powerful and ancient demon regarded as one of the most malevolent spirits. Known for possessing individuals or animals, it transforms its host into vessels of pure rage and evil. This possession leaves the host acting violently, often causing irreversible harm. The demon's influence is so intense that it can drive a person to madness, leading to a swift and tragic end. Besamar's presence is feared as it embodies the collective wrath of many evil spirits combined into one formidable force. Feared not only for the havoc it wreaks during possession, but also for the lasting impact it leaves on its victims. Those who survive the encounter with Besamar are often left mentally scarred, struggling with lingering madness that can haunt them for the rest of their lives. The demon's ability to embody the combined malevolence of multiple evil spirits make it one of the most dreaded entities in Slavic folklore. Bukavac is a fearsome creature in Slavic mythology, particularly known in the folklore regions like Sirmia, Serbia, and Croatia. This mythical being is typically depicted as a six-legged monster with gnarled horns, bright blue eyes, and a slimy amphibious body. Bukavac is said to dwell in lakes and pools, emerging from the water at night to create loud, terrifying noises. Bukavac is not just a noisy nuisance, but a dangerous predator. It is believed to attack both humans and animals, often attempting to strangle them with its powerful limbs. The creature is also associated with unexplained phenomena, such as mysterious disappearances and strange sounds around bodies of water. While it primarily instills fear, Bukavac is sometimes portrayed as a trickster, using its abilities to play pranks on unsuspecting victims. Chort is a malevolent spirit or demon deeply rooted in Slavic folklore, commonly depicted with horns, hooves, and a tail resembling a traditional image of a devil. Often associated with chaos and evil, he embodies the darker aspects of the supernatural world, and his presence is linked to misfortune and temptation. He's known to be a trickster, delighting in leading people astray or tempting them into sinful behavior. In some Slavic traditions, Chort is considered the son of Chernabog, the god of darkness and chaos, and Mara, a goddess associated with death. This lineage emphasizes his connection with the underworld and his role in maintaining the balance between good and evil. Chort's abilities include shapeshifting and causing chaos, making him a formidable adversary in many folk tales. Chuma, also known as Kuga, is a personification of the plague in Slavic mythology, particularly within Serbian, Bulgarian, and broader southern Slavic traditions. She's typically depicted as a terrifying old woman, often dressed in white with long, unkempt hair and a ghastly pale complexion. In some versions of the myth, Chuma is also portrayed with goat-like features, further emphasizing her connection to death and disease. Chuma is not merely a bringer of death, but is seen as a goddess or spirit whose presence signaled an impending plague. Her arrival in a village was considered a harbinger of doom, as she would spread illness and death wherever she went. Despite her fearsome reputation, some tales suggest that if properly appeased with offerings, such as basil and other herbs, Chuma might spare a household or even provide a peaceful death to those who encounter her. The Domovoy is a revered household spirit in Slavic folklore, particularly within Russian traditions. This ancient figure is seen as the guardian of the home, responsible for protecting the family and ensuring their well-being. Typically, the Domovoy is depicted as a small elderly man with a long beard, sometimes covered in hair from head to toe. He's believed to live in the hearth behind the stove, or in other nooks and crannies in the house, rarely showing himself to the inhabitants. The Domovoy's primary role is to safeguard the household from misfortune and malevolent spirits. He's known to warn the family of impending danger by making noises such as knocking or causing dogs to howl. A content Domovoy is considered a sign of prosperity and harmony in the home, and families would often leave offerings like bread, milk, or even small items of clothing to keep him pleased. In some traditions, the Domovoy is connected to ancestor worship, believed to be the spirit of a deceased family member who continues to look after the living. This connection underscores the deep ties between the family, their home, and their spiritual protector. However, the Domovoy can become mischievous or even malevolent if disrespected or ignored, causing trouble around the house until properly appeased. The Drekavac, also known as the Screamer or the Screecher, is believed to be the restless spirit of an unbaptized child or sinful person returning from the grave to haunt the living. The creature is often depicted in various forms, most commonly as a small, undead child or a human canine that walks on its hind legs. It is said to emit a blood-curdling scream that can be heard from great distance, often foretelling death or illness. Drekavac is believed to be visible only at night, particularly during certain times of the year, such as the unbaptized days, the 12 days of Christmas, or early spring when other supernatural beings are thought to be more active. The creature avoids light and dogs, and it is said that if its shadow falls upon a person, that individual will soon fall ill and die. Gamayun, much like Alkonost, is a mystical creature often depicted as a large bird with the head of a beautiful woman. This creature is closely associated with wisdom, knowledge, and prophecy. Gamayun is believed to possess divine knowledge of all creation, including gods, heroes, and humans, making her a revered figure in Russian folklore. Living on an island near paradise, she is said to deliver divine messages and prophecies through her enchanting and often cryptic songs. Her voice is believed to have magical properties, and those who can decipher her hymns may gain profound wisdom or insights into the future. Gamayun is also connected to several Slavic gods, particularly Veles, the god of wisdom and the underworld. In some traditions, she is seen as a personification of Veles, further highlighting her role as keeper of secrets and messenger between the divine and mortal worlds. Lesnik, also known as Leshi, Lesovik, and other regional variations, is a powerful forest spirit in Slavic mythology. This enigmatic being serves as the guardian of the forest, protecting its trees, animals, and all who dwell within. Lesnik is a master shapeshifter, capable of transforming into various forms, including animals, plants, or even human-like figures with goat-like features. This ability allows him to blend seamlessly into his surroundings, making him an elusive and formidable presence in the woods. He is often portrayed as a mischievous spirit who delights in leading travelers astray, confusing them with illusions or playing pranks. However, his actions are not purely malevolent. They often reflect the respect or disrespect shown by humans towards the natural world. Those who treat the forest with reverence may find Lesnik to be a helpful guide, while those who harm the environment may incur his wrath. In some depictions, Lesnik appears with human characteristics, such as a man with goat's feet, horns, and a green beard made of moss and leaves. His power is at its peak deep within the forest, particularly in areas with ancient trees and wildlife. Liko is a malevolent figure symbolizing evil, fate, and misfortune. This creature is commonly depicted as a one-eyed, old and gaunt woman dressed in black, although other versions describe Liko as a male goblin or a giant taller than the trees. Despite the variations, all representations share the creature's association with bad luck and calamity. Historically, Liko was often considered as a servant of death, particularly during times of epidemics. In Slavic tales, encountering Liko usually results in disaster, with the creature embodying the unpredictable and often cruel twists of fate. Some stories recount Liko riding on a person's back, leading them to accidental drownings or tricking them into fatal situations. Milosnice are mysterious and fearsome entities known for their association with spreading diseases and causing epidemics in the regions they visit. Often referred to with a degree of reverence and fear, they were believed to have the power to bring widespread illness and misfortune to entire communities. The name Milosnice itself is thought to be derived from the words meaning mercy, reflecting the belief that these spirits could be appeased through offerings or rituals. Due to the fear they inspired, people would avoid directly mentioning their name, referring to them instead with more flattering titles like good mothers or aunts, in hopes of avoiding their wrath. To protect themselves from these spirits, communities would perform specific rituals such as lighting fires or offering sacrifices to ward off their influence and prevent the spread of disease. Mora is a female spirit known for causing nightmares, believed to sit on the chest of her victims during sleep, leading to a sensation of suffocation or intense pressure, which often results in disturbing dreams or a terrifying inability to move. This phenomenon is closely related to what we now understand as sleep paralysis. As a shapeshifter, Mora can appear in various forms, including a beautiful woman, an old crone, or animals like cats and horses. While she is generally feared for her ability to induce nightmares, some traditions also depict her as a protector of the home. To ward off her presence, people would use rituals and charms, believing that these could either appease her or repel her. Morana, not to be confused with the deity Morana, is a powerful and enigmatic sea spirit, often considered a once water deity or sea nymph. She is sometimes depicted as the daughter of the sea Tsar, ruling over the waters and having control over the winds. Morana is a large, imposing figure associated with the sea, and she is sometimes linked to forces of nature, such as storms and harsh weather. While in some traditions she is seen as a protective spirit of the sea, in others she can be vengeful, causing shipwrecks and drawing sailors to their doom. Her connection to the sea makes her a significant figure in the folklore of coastal regions, where she embodies both the nurturing and destructive powers of the ocean. Nyezhit is a malevolent spirit, particularly feared for its association with disease and decay. Often described as a terrifying skeletal figure with decaying flesh, the Nyezhit embodies the concept of a living corpse, much like a zombie in modern mythology. Its very presence is believed to bring illness, including symptoms like fever, blindness, or even causing a person's teeth to fall out. The Nyezhit is not just a symbol of physical decay, but also a harbinger of misfortune. In some traditions, it is linked to plagues and epidemics, with the mere sight of a Nyezhit considered an omen of widespread sickness. Patuliak is a diminutive figure in Slavic mythology, often portrayed as a dwarf-like being. Known for their small stature and great intellect, they are considered the polar opposites of giants in folklore. Despite their size, they are depicted as powerful and cunning, often possessing knowledge of hidden treasures or magical abilities. In many stories, Patuliaks are closely associated with nature, living in forests, mountains, or underground. They're often guardians of these natural spaces, protecting them from human intrusion. Some tales also depict them as helpers or tricksters, depending on how they are treated by those who encounter them. Triglav is a terrifying demonic creature with its name literally translating to doghead, and the creature is aptly named for its horrifying appearance. It is depicted with a human body, horse legs, and a dog's head, featuring iron teeth and a single eye in the middle of its forehead. This combination of features makes the creature one of the more grotesque and fearsome entities in Slavic folklore. The Triglav is known to inhabit dark, remote places such as caves, where it is said to feed on human corpses, often digging up graves to consume the flesh of the dead. This creature is deeply associated with death and evil, symbolizing the unknown dangers that lurk in the wilderness. The Rusalka are water nymphs or mermaid-like spirit associated with lakes and rivers. Beautiful young women who inhabit water bodies, they can have both good and evil traits depending on regional folklore. Traditionally, Rusalki are linked to fertility themes, as they were believed to help nurture crops by transferring life-giving moisture to the fields during the spring. However, in some later tales, particularly those from the 19th century onwards, they're described as more sinister beings. These spirits are said to be the souls of young women who met tragic ends. They are known to lure men with their beauty and songs, sometimes leading to deadly consequences through drowning or even laughter. The Sirene is a creature from Eastern Slavic folklore, often depicted similarly to the Alkonost and Gamayun. It is envisioned as a bird with the head and torso of a woman, residing near Eri, a mythical paradise. The Sirene is usually adorned with a golden crown, and its feathers lackluster, sometimes resembling those of an owl. This creature is known for its enchanting song that could captivate humans to the extent that those who heard it would lose their senses and follow the Sirene, often to their demise. The song of the Sirene was believed to be so compelling that it could lead people away from their earthly lives, driven by the desire to follow the Sirene's call. Communities would resort to drastic measures like cannon shots or ringing church bells to dispel the enchantment and protect people from wandering off. Sudyenitsi, also known as Sudyaya, are a trio of spirits revered across Slavic cultures, each playing a distinct role in determining the fate of newborns. They're believed to decide a child's lifespan, future, and manner of death, elements of fate that no one can escape. According to tradition, families prepare for their visit by ensuring the home is clean and the mother and child are surrounded by offerings like freshly baked bread, wine, basil plants, and gold and silver coins. When they visit 3 days after a child's birth, each Sudyenitsi has a specific influence. The first, known for her unpleasant appearance and demeanor, foretells the child's death. The second, also viewed negatively, predicts hardships and challenges that the child may face. The third, the most beautiful and benevolent of the trio, spins the threads that may determine the child's longevity and future successes, particularly in marriage. Despite the foreboding predictions of the first two, it's often balanced with the blessings of the third that families hope will prevail. The Todorats are depicted as formidable and malevolent beings in Balkan folklore, known for their half-human, half-horse appearance. These creatures are described as horrifying riders emerging from the backs of horses, cloaked in such a way that their faces remain unseen. Known for their destructive passage through villages and towns, they're feared for their capability to trample and kill anyone in their path. These demonic entities are particularly associated with Todor's Saturday, an annual event marking the end of winter. It's the one day they are said to appear, led by the great Todor, a white, lame demon draped in a white cloak, dragging rattling chains. To appease and banish these fearsome spirits, people engage in specific rituals, including the creation of cookies shaped like horse hooves, a portion of which is offered to the horses. On this day, a strict protocol is observed where children must stay indoors and no work is undertaken to ensure the safety of the community to avoid invoking the wrath of the Todorats. The Drekavac is a mythical creature in Serbian folklore imagined as a bird-like being with a long beak and a pelican-like sac. According to legend, one could be created by taking an egg from a black hen and having a woman carry it under her armpit for 40 days, during which strict ritualistic conditions must be adhered to. Once hatched, the Drekavac could perform various services for its owner, such as stealing honey and milk from others, fulfilling wishes, and enabling its owner to understand animal languages. The vampire, or vampire, is a significant figure in Slavic folklore, particularly in Serbian culture, and is the origin of the modern vampire myth that has spread worldwide. In Slavic tradition, vampires typically arise from people who led particularly wicked lives, committed suicide, or died violently. In some beliefs, an evil spirit could possess a recently deceased body, turning it into a vampire. These vampires would return to their hometowns to terrorize the living, often attacking and feeding on their former neighbors and relatives. The Slavic vampire is a far cry from the charming aristocrats seen in modern media. Instead, it is a bloodthirsty and violent creature with no qualms about brutally killing its victims. Unlike their modern counterparts, who are often depicted with a single pair of fangs, Slavic vampires have a mouthful of sharp teeth and are known for nearly decapitating their victims while feeding. The Vela, known to be a beautiful fairy-like creature, eternally youthful with bird or butterfly wings, golden hair and a flowing white dress. She is typically portrayed as benevolent towards humans, armed with a bow and arrows and possessing great power which is believed to reside in her hair. The Vela dwells far from human settlements, preferring the solitude of forests, lakes, rivers, or even the clouds. According to legend, she's born from dew, specific flowers, or when a rainbow appears in the sky. The Vela has the ability to transform into any animal, with a particular affinity for falcons, wolves, swans, or mares. She's often seen riding horses or elks during hunts, or dancing in circles with other Velae. In fairy tales, she might seduce heroes or even serve as their sister-in-law, using her knowledge of herbs to heal their wounds from battle. Young girls would seek her favor for beauty or protection. However, the Vela is not one to easily forgive insults. She can strike down offenders with just a glance, or with her bow and arrows. Even when she brings harm, she remains irresistibly beautiful and seductive. A Vela can become loyal to a human if they manage to steal her clothes, and she can be transformed into an ordinary woman if her wings are taken away. It's also believed that garlic seeds grant her eternal youth. During the new moon, the Vela becomes more similar to Rusalka, making her more dangerous to humans. Velae are believed to perform rituals near small bodies of water, such as streams, ponds, and wells. The Vodeniak is a creature from Eastern and Western Slavic folklore believed to inhabit bodies of water, particularly near watermills. According to legend, Vodeniak originates from the souls of drowned individuals, especially those who did not receive proper funeral rites. In some versions, it is said it is the soul of an exceptionally evil person, condemned by the gods to live in the water as punishment. Vodeniak is typically depicted as a humanoid figure with long claws and a tail, often covered in moss or grass, or as an old man with a green beard and hair, or even as a fish-like creature, covered in mud. During the day, it is said to rest in a beautifully decorated lair, but at night he emerges to drag unlucky victims, particularly married men, into the water to steal their wives and turn them into servants. He's also known to cause damage to watermills, bridges, and fishing nets. To appease the Vodeniak, people would offer sacrifices such as roosters, chickens, sheep, or even horses. The Vukodlak are werewolves in Slavic mythology, but their characteristics and origins are quite distinct from the popularized versions. In Slavic beliefs, becoming a Vukodlak is not the result of a bite or a scratch, but involves specific rituals or circumstances steeped in cultural significance. One method of transforming involves skinning a dead wolf and wearing its pelt without tanning it. This act is considered a grave sin, as killing wolves was seen as equivalent to harming an ancestor. The transformation into a werewolf is thus viewed as a punishment from the god Dazhbog. Another belief holds that if a pregnant woman dies and a wolf passes over her body, the unborn child can transform into a werewolf, eventually emerging from the womb fully grown but ready to hunt. Slavic werewolves are believed to have the power to cause eclipses by devouring the sun or moon and then spitting it out after some time. Unlike the modern depiction, these werewolves do not turn others into werewolves, nor do they form packs or engage in battles with vampires. However, they are sometimes considered the siblings of vampires, sharing the same immortal status and craving for human blood and flesh. Both are seen as beings caught between Yav, the world of the living, and Nav, the world of the dead. In their human form, werewolves could be recognized by specific physical traits such as unibrow, hairy palms, and equal-length index and middle fingers. They are solitary hunters, driven by a ferocious need for flesh once transformed, and can temporarily revert to their human body by touching silver or gold, and can be killed by beheading with weapons made from these metals. Zhar-Ptitsa, also known as Svarog or simply Phoenix, is a revered mystical bird known across Slavic countries. Unlike the Western concept of the phoenix, Zhar-Ptitsa does not burn itself to be reborn, although still considered an immortal bird, with its existence symbolizing hope and the granting of wishes. This otherworldly bird is described as tall and extraordinarily beautiful, with feathers that glow like fire, illuminating large areas like the sun. It is believed to be nocturnal, sleeping during the day and becoming active at night. In folklore, capturing Zhar-Ptitsa is said to bring great fortune, granting the captor wishes and bringing hope. The Zmarg is a significant dragon figure in Slavic mythology, particularly within Serbian tradition. Unlike the purely bad-intentioned dragons found in other mythologies, this creature is complex, often depicted as both a protector and a formidable adversary depending on the context. Typically described as a winged being with multiple heads, it is capable of breathing fire. When it flies, it creates a distinctive whistling or howling sound that reverberates across the land. This dragon also possesses the ability to shapeshift into various forms, such as an eagle, snake, or even a human, adding to its mystical and formidable nature. Folklore also suggests that these dragons are born from fiery balls that rise from lakes, eventually settling in mountainous regions to protect them. They are associated with fertility and weather control, often guarding crops from storms and other natural disasters. However, when smitten with love, the dragon might neglect its duties, leading to disastrous consequences for the villagers under its protection. Throughout today's journey into the creatures of Slavic mythology and folklore, we've encountered beings that are as enigmatic as they are captivating. These creatures, steeped in the traditions and beliefs of the Slavic people, embody the fears, hopes, and mysteries that have shaped these cultures for centuries, with each offering a glimpse into the world where the natural and supernatural coexist, and where every shadow might conceal a deeper truth. As we reflect on these legends, we see that they are more than just ancient stories. They are powerful narratives that connect us to the past and remind us of the enduring themes that still resonate today. Deep in the woods, where the trees whisper secrets and the air turns cold, she waits. Her house moves on chicken legs, her iron teeth gleam in the dark, and those who enter rarely leave. Baba Yaga is one of the most infamous figures in Slavic folklore, a supernatural witch both feared and, at times, sought out for her knowledge. She's not simply an old crone lurking in the woods. She's something far more unpredictable, a force of nature that follows no human morality. Most stories describe a single Baba Yaga, an old woman with a hunger for human flesh, dwelling deep in the forest in her eerie chicken-legged hut. But in some versions of the myth, there are 3 Baba Yagas, sisters who share the same name. While this variant exists, the dominant depiction is one of Baba Yaga, solitary, ominous, and entirely in control. What makes her terrifying isn't just that she kills, it's that she's unpredictable. She can be a ruthless predator, a cunning trickster, or even a reluctant guide, depending on how she is approached. She exists on the edge of life and death, feared as a flesh-eating witch, but also sought out for her knowledge. To encounter Baba Yaga is to face a test where survival is never guaranteed. Baba Yaga is more than just a fairy tale witch. Her very presence is unsettling. Iron teeth sharp enough to tear through bone, a hooked nose sharp and unnatural, like the beak of a bird of prey, skeletal limbs thin and frail-looking, yet hiding in human strength. Even the way she moves is unnatural. She doesn't walk or ride a horse. Instead, she flies through the air in a giant mortar and pestle. But this isn't just a strange form of travel. A mortar and pestle are tools for grinding, crushing, and transformation. The same instruments used to break down food, herbs, and bones carry her through the world. She steers with a pestle and sweeps away her tracks with a broom, ensuring that no one can follow her unless she allows it. But appearance is only one part of what makes her terrifying. She holds power in a way few women in folklore do. Most female figures in myth gain influence through beauty, love, or manipulation. Baba Yaga answers to no one. She's old, untamed, and completely beyond society's control. She is the crone archetype, but not as a gentle, wise elder. She is the fear of aging, decay, and death itself. She does not comfort, she challenges, and for many, she is the final test they will ever face. Despite this, heroes seek her out. In many cultures, wisdom is found in kings, sages, or gods, but in Slavic folklore, it is Baba Yaga who decides who is worthy. Those who approach her must prove themselves, and she sets the terms. She alone chooses whether a traveller receives guidance, hardship, or death. And death is never far from her door. Baba Yaga eats people, but not out of mindless cruelty. She does not kill at random. In some stories, she devours children, much like the witch from Hansel and Gretel. In others, she preys on those who fail her tests or trespass into her domain unprepared. She does not simply consume the weak, but those who fail her trials or cross her without respect. And the proof? Well, look at a fence. It's built from human bones, topped with skulls, some still glowing, a warning to those who dare approach. She does not need to hunt, the foolish come to her. But she does not always kill outright. Baba Yaga plays with her prey. Some must sort mountains of grain before sunrise, an impossible task without supernatural help. Others are sent to fetch water from a well guarded by unseen forces. The strongest are put through a grueling labor, all while knowing failure means death. But those who succeed? They may earn her magic, her wisdom, or even her protection. And then there are her riders, 3 mysterious horsemen who serve Baba Yaga without question. The White Rider, dawn, the first light of day. The Red Rider, noon, when the sun burns at its peak. The Black Rider, night, when darkness takes over. But they are more than just symbols of time passing. They are the servants of fate itself. Baba Yaga does not merely live in the forest. She rules over something much greater. Some scholars speculate she may be linked to pre-Christian deities associated with life and death, tying her to the cycles of existence. She does not merely observe time pass, she enforces it. So Baba Yaga is not simply a witch, nor just a woman, nor even just a monster. She is a force that has always been there, untamed, hungry, and waiting. Baba Yaga lingers at the edge of civilization, where the known dissolves into the unknown, where order dissolves into chaos. She is not fully here nor fully absent. She is something else entirely. Her home lies deep in the forest, a place long feared in Slavic folklore. The forest is where people vanish, where strange creatures lurk, where those who enter are never quite the same when they return, if they return at all. It is a space outside human control, untouched by laws or reason. To step into Baba Yaga's domain is to cross a boundary. to leave behind the safety of the village and enter a world where rules no longer apply. And in the heart of this twisted domain stands her hut. But it is no ordinary home. It moves on chicken legs, shifting and turning, never rooted in place. A house is meant to be a refuge, a fixed point of safety, but Baba Yaga's hut is alive, unpredictable, and impossible to escape once inside. Those who approach must say the right words to gain entry. A single misstep, the wrong phrase, and the door remains shut. Or worse, the house moves away, leaving the traveller stranded in an unforgiving wilderness. No one ever knows where to find Baba Yaga because she is never in the same place for long. She is untethered, her presence as unstable as the world she inhabits. She does not wait to be sought, only those who truly need her, or those foolish enough to trespass, ever find her. And for those who do find her, the true test has only just begun. Baba Yaga's trials force characters to confront their deepest fears. They are psychological ordeals, stripping away pretenses and exposing true character. She challenges travellers to face the darkest aspects of themselves, rather than representing pure evil. Baba Yaga doesn't just punish those who fail, she forces them to question their own morality. Her tests aren't about following rules, they're about making choices that reveal true character. Heroes must decide between loyalty and self-interest, compassion and ruthlessness. These choices are not clear-cut and often push them to reckon with the consequences of their actions. Unlike many figures in mythology who represent clear moral extremes, Baba Yaga thrives in grey areas. Wisdom comes from understanding the complexities of choices, and each decision forces the hero to navigate the shifting balance between right and wrong, rather than choosing a side. The true terror of Baba Yaga isn't just death, it's the fear of being inadequate. Her challenges force heroes to confront the possibility that they may fail to measure up. The stakes are life and death, but the deeper psychological toll is the erasure of identity, the fear of not being enough. Failure doesn't just end in physical harm, it chips away at the spirit, leaving heroes to carry the weight of their inadequacy long after the trial ends. Success brings wisdom, but failure leaves a mark that cannot be undone. Baba Yaga's trials are also external manifestations of the inner battles heroes face. The challenges, sorting mountains of grain, fetching water from a guarded well, aren't just tests of strength or endurance. They are metaphors for self-doubt and the struggle against personal flaws. These tests demand more than just cleverness or perseverance. They require heroes to overcome their own limitations. To survive, they must face their internal fears, doubts, and weaknesses. Only by overcoming these inner obstacles can they succeed in Baba Yaga's trials, and in the process, discover strength they never knew they had. Baba Yaga's role extends beyond that of a mere witch. She may be a remnant of something much older, tied to the ancient forces of life, death, and transformation. Many scholars believe Baba Yaga traces her origins to pre-Christian Slavic goddesses who controlled the forces of nature, the underworld, and fate. These goddesses were often associated with the cycles of the earth, embodying both creation and destruction. Baba Yaga similarly reflects this duality, manifesting both life-giving and destructive forces. Her deep connection to nature, the forest, and the cycles of time suggests that she is more than just a witch or monster. Rather, she is a figure from a time when boundaries between the earth and the spirit world were blurred. Her domain, where life, death, and fate converge, points her to possible origins as a goddess of transformation, capable of ushering in both life and decay. But Baba Yaga is also linked to ancestral spirits, another common theme in many mythologies. In many cultures, figures like her, the crone or wise old woman, are considered to be the spirits of their ancestors, protectors of the land, and guides for those who seek wisdom. They hold the knowledge of the past and have the power to shape the future. Baba Yaga's duality, sometimes a killer, sometimes a guide, reflects this relationship with the spirits of the dead. Ancestors in many cultures are viewed not only as protectors, but also as figures who must be appeased. They have the power to protect, but they can also punish if disrespected. In the same way, Baba Yaga's trials test those who enter her domain, offering wisdom or death depending on the character and respect shown by those who approach her. Her unpredictable nature mirrors how ancestors are often seen, guardians of wisdom, yet capable of great wrath. So then why is Baba Yaga so terrifying? Baba Yaga isn't just a monster. She's a test, a mystery, and a reminder of those forces beyond our control. She challenges the boundaries of what we understand, shifting from guide to predator in the blink of an eye. What frightens us most isn't her appearance, but the uncertainty of what she might do next. Baba Yaga forces us to face the fear of the unknown, of failure, and of things we can't control. In a world that feels structured and predictable, she embodies the wild, untamed chaos. Ultimately, Baba Yaga haunts us because she reminds us that the world is full of things we can't explain or tame. That chaos is what makes her truly terrifying. Just whispering the name Koschei in the Slavic regions sends shivers down spines. As one of the most feared figures in Slavic folklore, Koschei is infamous for his dark magic, malevolent nature, and near immortality. His soul, his only weakness, is hidden within multiple layers of protection, making him almost invincible. Known for kidnapping princesses and wielding shape-shifting powers, he embodies the ultimate fear of death and insatiable lust for power. Koschei the Immortal is a character that strikes fear deep into the hearts of those who hear his name. He's often depicted as a skeletal, bony figure with sunken eyes and a body so frail that it appears to be hanging by the barest threads of life. His haunting appearance gives him a near-spectral presence, and his name itself comes from Kost, the Russian word for bone, underscoring his eerie physicality. But Koschei's true power isn't his terrifying looks. It's his immortality. Known as the Deathless, he has achieved what many villains crave but few obtain, eternal life. However, his immortality isn't something that simply exists within him. Koschei's life force, his very soul, is hidden in a complex series of protections. His soul is encased in a needle, which is inside an egg, which is inside a duck, which is inside a hare, all of which are sealed inside a chest buried beneath an ancient oak tree on the faraway land of Buyan. This elaborate safeguard against death makes him nearly invincible. If anyone were to find this chest, they'd have to go through a series of near impossible steps, first capturing the hare, then the duck, and finally breaking the egg to access the needle that holds Koschei's soul. It's this impenetrable barrier that has allowed Koschei to live for centuries, untouched by time. In many tales, Koschei plays the role of a relentless antagonist. He is notorious for kidnapping princesses, such as Maria Morievna, and hiding them away in his dark, remote palace. His obsession with controlling others and manipulating fate makes him a fearsome adversary to the heroes who dare challenge him. Unlike some villains, Koschei is cunning and strategic, often relying on magic to outsmart those who try to defeat him. Even with all his dark magic, Koschei's greatest fear is losing his immortality, which is why he guards his soul with such complexity and ferocity. Koschei represents more than just a villain. He is a symbol of the eternal battle between life and death, of a being so consumed by fear and mortality that he will go to any lengths to avoid it. He lingers between the worlds of the living and the dead, a being who cannot truly die but is never fully alive. His dark powers are vast, from shape-shifting to turning enemies into stone, and in some tales, even frosting entire kingdoms. He embodies the ultimate fear of death, while simultaneously being a force that defies it. While Koschei's immortality is what makes him notorious, his other powers are no less terrifying. As a powerful sorcerer, Koschei is capable of incredible feats of dark magic. His ability to shapeshift is one of his most notable powers, allowing him to transform into various forms including animals or even elemental forces like a whirlwind, giving him an edge in evading capture or confronting enemies. His shapeshifting not only helps him escape, but also enhances his ability to manipulate and deceive those around him. In addition to his mastery of transformation, Koschei wields destructive powers capable of devastating entire kingdoms. Some tales describe him freezing whole realms or turning his enemies to stone. His magic doesn't just affect individuals, but can alter the very landscape of the world around him, making him a force of nature as much as a villain. What makes Koschei truly dangerous, though, is his cunning. He doesn't just rely on brute strength or raw magic. He uses his intelligence to outwit heroes and bend situations to his advantage. He frequently tricks his opponents, setting traps or using illusions to gain the upper hand. Koschei's powers extend beyond mere combat. His knowledge of the dark arts allows him to control fate itself, often manipulating the course of events to suit his will. He uses his power to enslave and control, capturing princesses and keeping them hidden in his remote enchanted palaces. This control over others, combined with his almost supernatural ability to evade death, makes him a villain unlike any other in Slavic folklore. Despite all this, Koschei's greatest fear remains the loss of his immortality, making him obsessed with safeguarding his soul. This obsession drives much of his behavior, turning his magical powers into tools not just for dominance, but for survival. One of the most famous tales featuring Koschei is the death of Koschei the Deathless, which centers on the hero Ivan Tsarevich and the warrior princess Maria Morevna. In this story, Ivan unwittingly releases Koschei from his chains after being warned by Maria not to open a forbidden door. Once freed, Koschei's strength returns, and in an act of betrayal, he kidnaps Maria and whisks her away to his distant kingdom. Determined to rescue his wife, Ivan sets off in pursuit of Koschei, but first attempts end in failure. Koschei's magical horse allows him to outpace Ivan easily, and when Ivan tries to free Maria, Koschei quickly retaliates. On the third attempt, Koschei loses patience with Ivan's persistence and, in a fit of rage, kills him, chopping his body into pieces and sealing the remains in a barrel that he tosses into the sea. However, Ivan's story doesn't end there. His 3 wizard brothers-in-law find his body and reassemble it and bring him back to life. They inform Ivan that only a magical horse from Baba Yaga, the witch of the woods, can match the speed of Koschei's steed. Ivan sets on a dangerous journey to find Baba Yaga, and after completing a series of near-impossible tasks with the help of animals he had aided earlier, he earns the magical horse that will allow him to finally challenge Koschei. Armed with his new horse, Ivan once again tracks down Koschei and Maria Morevna. This time, Ivan's speed matches that of Koschei, leading to their final confrontation. After a fierce battle, Ivan finds the egg containing Koschei's soul, smashes it and destroys the needle inside. With this, Koschei's immortality is finally broken, and he is defeated for good. His death marks the end of his reign of terror, restoring peace and order to the world. So why was he so feared then? It wasn't just his immense powers or his cunning, but because he represented something far more terrifying: death itself. In Slavic culture, Koschei embodied the inevitability of death and decay, lurking just beyond the edge of life. His skeletal form and unending life symbolized the unnatural defiance of the natural order. To face Koschei was to confront the inevitability of mortality. Koschei's immortality, however, was not just about evading death, it was about spreading ruin. His ability to freeze kingdoms and destroy lives reflected his deeper connection to chaos. His presence brought disorder to the world, upsetting the delicate balance between life and death. This made him more than just a villain. He was a force of nature, representing the unpredictability of the world and inevitable decay that comes with time. But while Koschei was ultimately destroyed, his soul, hidden within the egg, crushed by Ivan, his legacy as a symbol of fear and destruction lived on. Defeating Koschei was no easy task, and even in death, he reminded people of the constant threat of chaos and unyielding power of death. In the minds of the people, Koschei was feared not just for his actions, but for what he represented, an ever-present reminder that death can never truly be conquered, only delayed.